Taking a look at the physical size of these two saws with the tines relatively close to the same position. The Husqvarna is actually a little bit longer. It's a little bit wider, it looks like. It's a little bit taller. I weighed them on the hand-me-down bathroom scales and I got a 1.2 pound differential, and then I had to go in and get the actual good scale since my wife's at work and no one will know. Snicker, snicker. It was a 1 pound differential at that point. 16.8 it said, fully fueled and oiled. 17.8 fully fueled and oiled. So this saw is 70.57 cc's, 79.2 cc's, and the Husqvarna weighs more than a 461 by half of a pound almost. So I was talking to my buddy Dave, super. You can see him in the quite a while ago I posted a video called Maxi Shear. We were doing an old growth fir patch up on top of this ridge. I was working with him that day. We were kind of double jacking, if you will. He's talking about switching from 661s because he doesn't like that M-tronic situation back to Husqvarna, and I was kind of explaining about some of the Husqvarna saws, and he's like, really? They haven't gotten it figured out yet? So 572 is a little saw. It is very portly. Physically it's big, little displacement wise. One of the things I wanted to talk about, I was having a conversation with some regional Northwest, somebody high in the food chain in Husqvarna's regime, I guess, technically out on the West Coast, and we were talking for a while and then kind of yammering on about the lackluster sales with the 572s. They're bringing the 372X Smog X torque saw back online. Of course, nobody wants to hear that exactly coming out of like a random Joe's mouth. But anyway, he kind of was going on for a while and said he has a 572 as his personal saw. He says it'll cut with a 500i. Yada yada, about 45 seconds, and then when he took a breath, I kind of explained to him how they're not even in the same ballpark on multiple fronts. I don't think that was well received based on the response I was getting out of that operation. We did have the 380 question mark back in the early 2000s. You fill out a book, have the saw for a month or two, whatever it is. You're keeping track of elevation, fuel consumption, the whole process. You're making suggestions. You write down your suggestions, and lo and behold, the commercial version shows up exactly like the prototype version that you're testing, and it's lagging in multiple areas. So anyway, kind of a little diatribe situation going on. People have asked, and that's kind of summing it up. Husqvarnas are overbuilt, kind of like the old Caterpillar line years and years ago. I think their concept is they want something that they think is going to be super durable. In the meantime, the timber keeps getting smaller, and they're getting left in the dust, in my humble opinion. And they're not listening to the guys in the field, as far as I can tell, because I've been talking to several reps in a couple different states for years. More power, less weight, dude. More power, less weight. That's what your line needs. So hopefully one of these days they'll get it. I'm hopeful. Yeah, if that was an 80cc saw and had a lot of power, had 7 horsepower or something like that, you could justify the process. When it weighs a pound more than a 6.8 horsepower saw that so far has proven to be pretty durable. We're going to take a look at the Flexi Flyer situation here with the 572, and then we're going to re-warm it up. So we've watched how the 500i flops around like a salmon on the deck. This saw does not do that. It's a little bit stiffer sideways, either side. Definitely doesn't have as much movement. It still flops around a little bit. Definitely stiffer longitudinally though. So just something I kind of notice when I'm dealing with saws, because I like to do limbing like this, and I don't like the saw flopping around like a salmon on the deck on a personal level. So we're re-warming up the 572. That's some super pretty wood right there, actually. It makes some nice lumber. 32-inch steel lightweight, but we have some full comp. That's my Windsor chain that I like. I haven't got my grind dialed in to deal with this new wood after we did the woodlot makeover. I had a year and a half or so, year and 4 months to dial in that other wood, and had it pretty much handled in the end. Haven't really spent any time trying to get this situation handled here yet, but it has a different power than the 462, even though it's in the same class, but it's way overweight. In comparison to the 462, it's over a pound heavier, at least a pound heavier than a 500i fully fueled. So it's more actually than a 461, way down on power. So we'll get the 500i queued up now. Okay, I will say that The 572 feels more like the 500i than the 462 in the way that it runs. That saw has a little bit more down low. It has a 39 millimeter stroke by a 48 millimeter bore. We have a 54 millimeter bore and a 34.6 millimeter stroke. Near as I can tell, to get to that 79.2 cc's versus 70.56 number that we've talked about here and there. In my humble opinion, the 572 is way underpowered for the weight. I mean, it's smooth, it feels good, it's not as flexy or spongy, if you will, as the 500i on the side with the lightweight 32, but it's down on power. So we're about, I don't know, it's about 20 inches. There was a long tirade in the middle of this operation about the portly factor. Stihl definitely has Stihl, correction. Out in the West Coast, it's Stihl or Stihl, depending on who you're talking to. Most of the followers call them Stihls. Anyway, I digress. Low mass, they definitely have it figured out at this point. There's recesses that they have cast into the cases even. Gusseting, they're definitely thinking low mass. It's a nice looking saw. I like the way it looks. I just don't like the way it weighs so much for the lack of power that it has. Anyway, now we're gonna do some massaging on the, I guess, the operating table essentially. I was gonna do that one first, but I think I'm gonna do that one first and see how it comes alive. We're gonna torque tweak this one as well, cycle wise, as far as I can remember. Anyway, thanks for watching this session. Have a blessed day wherever you might be on God's green earth.